Have you ever played Hoi4 and wanted to control small squads instead of massive divisions, but said, screw buying a real-time strategy game? Well, look no further as I introduce you to the Los Santos mod for Hoi4 based off of GTA San Andreas, a game I'm sure much of you know about. Getting started, there are a multitude of different local governments and gangs to pick as your nation. Of course, I selected Grove Street Gang, the gang that the main character of San Andreas is a part of. When you start the game, you realize that this is no traditional mod whatsoever. No research, building, and almost every means of production is done through the decisions menu. Also, something different about this mod is the impassable borders that are essentially everywhere on the map, and you will see how this becomes extremely annoying later on. I got my 5 divisions consisting of 4 men with pistols and marched all 20 of them to the front yard Ballas to the north, who are also to the west. But my naive self thought that worrying about the divisions to the west was lame. I was about to face the consequences of this, but then I found out that because manpower in each division is so low, the fighting in this mod was like EU4, where if the attacking force is bigger, it'll chew away at the defending force until it is almost or completely destroyed. I use this to my advantage to almost deplete the front yard Ballas of divisions. After this, I decided attacking the rolling heights Ballas to the south was the best decision. But that almost went south as I nearly got encircled. I broke out and did a few offenses that had a similar situation of getting encircled, but I did end up killing some enemy divisions. Although, in order to avoid capitulation, I had to run my troops back to Grove Street and hold off an onslaught of Ballas. Something that I've been doing in the background was buying guns and consumables, which I assume is this mod's support equipment. With both, I was able to deploy 10 more divisions to help with my offensive efforts, where I retook most of my victory points, and I thought I took all of the Rolling Heights victory points, but then realized that they had 2 separate pieces of land, one which was almost completely inaccessible at the moment. 5 of my divisions were sent north, and 5 of my divisions were sent west to try to capitulate the front yard Ballas. Also, something I realized is that there were 3 divisions I got from focuses that were just starving in the canals of Los Santos, and I couldn't free them because of the stupid impassable borders. Speaking of the impassable terrain, if you haven't noticed, the microwing that they force you to do is excruciatingly annoying, especially when trying to take out the front yard Ballas who seemingly pull divisions out of their ass to try to reverse your offensive progress. Due to this, my offense went back and forth until I deployed a solid 10 divisions, this time being AK-47 divisions, which allowed me to use my old ones to hold areas where these AK divisions weren't pushing. Hold on, did I say 10 more divisions? Well, actually, I'm at 40 more, because apparently the Ballas wouldn't stop pumping out divisions. These new divisions were finally enough, and with this the front yard Ballas were capitulated. It took 4 in-game years, and now I was at war with one less nation. A little side note, the Vagos, one of the gangs I was at war with, they capitulated and most of their land went to the Ballas. So now I was completely surrounded by one enemy faction, which is not very desirable. Despite this, the situation was actually pretty light. I had way more divisions than them, so I used some of them to plug pathways which the Ballas could enter my land from and push south where they had almost no divisions. After that, I decided the Kilo Tray Ballas would be the easiest to capitulate from there, since they didn't control almost a quarter of Los Santos like their ally did. Unbeknownst to me, they were also the faction leader, so I was happily surprised when that light push completely ended the war. Now with half of Los Santos under control and 78 divisions, with many more on the way, I was by far the most powerful nation, if you can call it that, in the city. Next up was to take out the Riot state, an anarchistic state that was formed from a bunch of smaller nations while I was fighting the Ballas. They had the biggest army second to mine, although that did not mean much when I had enough divisions to put 5 of them on each border tile with the Riot state. You see, after declaring war, I easily took out their southern exclave. On top of this, I declared war on a National Guard base that was outside the docks of the city, and it was easy capitulations. Now for the main front of this war, I launched my horde of thugs over their border, and with the amount of resistance they put up, I essentially walked right over them and captured the little amount of quarter victory points they had. Now, that war was like way later than I expected. I expected more resistance, I'm gonna be honest. But now, it's time to destroy the next strongest nation, which is the police. This time, I have, well, I'm not actually gonna tell you how much I have because I'm too lazy to count them, but you can do that yourself with the theater tab. I'll show it on the screen, but it's well more than enough to put multiple nations in the ground at once. So that's what I did. I declared war on the airport, some park, and the Russian mafia while at war with the police. Police and mafia were no big deal. They were easy to destroy. Now, I realized that the real challenging enemies weren't the ones with big division counts. They were the ones, the the two other ones, the park and the airport. They had special capitulation requirements of taking almost all their tiles. If they were small, it'd be no problem. But the problem is that they were big. So the real challenge was microwing through every tile while trying not to die of boredom. These nations make it even more excruciating when they materialize new divisions out of nowhere to reverse your progress. Despite this, the airport and the park were finally taken after like way too long. After all of this, there were some minor nations I had to get rid of, and they were all easy, so I won't bore you with any of the process of how I took them. After those small road bumps were taken care of, it was time for the last enemy, the Temple Drive families. I think these guys are another chapter, I guess you could call it, of my nation's gang. But I've only played GT San Andreas for about 20 minutes, so I can't be 100% sure. But I think this is like a betrayal or something. Anyways, my dominance of Los Santos didn't have any regard for who I'm betraying, so I assembled an offensive force around their land of over 160 divisions, if I can remember. Once the declaration of war came, I essentially curb stomped them, but was clueless as to why they wouldn't capitulate. I then zoomed out. I was not amused whatsoever, so I rushed, like, I think 160 divisions, I rushed all of them to their borders to destroy them, stomp them out. I went to the decision menu and saw the glorious formable button, clicked it, and then I became the city of Los Santos. After 9 grueling in-game years, I run this town tonight. Well, I've done it. I beat this mod, and I can surely say I won't touch it ever again after all that microing. Would I recommend it? Maybe. It's fun at the beginning when you're struggling, but the gameplay becomes monotonous, as you can see with this video, and there's not a whole lot to do after winning your first war that is of any fun. Recommend me some mods to play in the comments. I'm open to play any new mods or any big updates to more well-known mods. Anyways, see you in the next vid.